What is going on? You're on the roof. You are on the roof. Alrighty, welcome back everyone to Phasmophobia. Hope you're all having a lovely day. Apologies that this upload has been delayed a little while, but it's better late than never. We are doing a hiding guide for the reworked Bleasdale Farmhouse, and there are some things to discuss here. The TLDR is that the official hiding spots are mostly an upgrade to the old Bleasdale, with the exception of one. We will get into that later. However, the unofficial hiding spots are a downgrade. There are more unofficial hiding areas, but the quality of those hiding spots are not as good, which means you might have to burn some incense if you want to defend yourself. The staircases are also a pretty big danger area, as it takes a while to get from one hiding area from downstairs to another hiding area upstairs, and it is exaggerated even further when you're playing on higher difficulties with a slower player speed. If there are any questions or comments about the guide at all, feel free to post them down below. You can also sometimes find me on Twitch at 1 PM Eastern Standard, where I am doing some insane challenges, and I am more than happy to answer any questions there too. I am also keeping the old Bleasdale hiding guide up in case anyone wants to play on an older version of Phas. Just like the other hiding guides, I will have timestamps for different sections. I will be going over the map on my iPad, ranking each hiding area based on my experience and how safe it feels to hide there. We will also get into the official hiding spots in-game as well as the unofficial hiding spots. Now, let's not waste any more time and hop right into the reworked Bleasdale hiding guide. Alright, here we are on Bleasdale, and we're going to take a look at some aspects of old Bleasdale and compare them to the new map. Now, take a look at the official hiding spots, the unofficial hiding spots, and the looping spots that are available. You only have one pretty good official hiding spot, maybe two. But other than that, you have official hiding spots that are kind of a mixed bag. And then the unofficial hiding spots that you do have, they're generally pretty decent. And you do have a little bit as well. And it is enough for you to use in your normal investigations. And you can move between floors relatively seamlessly. You just gotta time things correctly and all will be good. And then, of course, you have the looping spots that there are not that many of, so looping on this map is not that great. And this was also considered a small map before the rework, so that means the hunt duration is much shorter. And then here we are on the new Bleasdale, and right away you can see some differences. Now, unfortunately, there are some problems with new Bleasdale, and we will get into that shortly. Now first, the official hiding spots are much better. You have much higher quality official hiding spots. You've got closets that you can hide in, and the ghost will never get to you unless it's a Dio or you have your electronics on. And that is very good. We like that. You also notice that there are a lot more looping spots on this map, and that is also beneficial because you don't have to wait at the bottom of the stairs just for the ghost to hang out in the attic or something. So you also have looping spots on each floor. That is very good. We like that. But then you get to the unofficial hiding spots, and that's where we have problems. Now you might see there are more unofficial hiding spots on this map, but the quality of those unofficial spots are not as good as the previous Bleasdale. And you do have a couple of good ones in there, but they are few and far between. And there are other aspects of this map that makes it much harder on higher difficulties. And one of those things that makes it more difficult is going between floors. Now right here in the black area, that's the first floor. Pretend we're going upstairs. Now, in order to get to a hiding area, we have to climb up these stairs and then go into this room over here, the trophy room. And if you're playing with slower player speeds, it takes forever to get up there. And you will have to like cleanse the ghost in order to get there safely, or you just have to chance that it will not hunt. And it's easier said than done. And even getting from the second floor to the attic is also very sketchy, because you have to go all the way through the hallway and up the stairs here, and then you have to pick a side on where the ghost is going to go or not. It's a bit of a coin flip, which it's not great. But we will get into the hiding aspect of Bleasdale in a sec. But first, let's take a look at the official hiding spots, and most of them are pretty good. And let's start off in the main entrance here, the front door. So you go into the front door here, and your first official hiding spot is under the stairs here. There is a door right there, and you can just go in there and close the door. Ghosts will not enter that hiding spot. You can get ghost events, you can get music boxes and all of that. Ghosts will never go in there unless you call it with your electronics or you get a Dio. And therefore, that spot, I would say, is pretty solid. You can also use this hiding spot in a different way, where you're hiding right here, but then you open the door like this, and the ghost will not see you between the table or the door. Now, you may get really unlucky and have the ghost path into your spot there. It will happen sometimes, but that's natural. That's why it's not a perfect hiding spot. And you can get a fairly decent visual on the ghost just by sitting there. But there is an asterisk there because it is only available once this spot is unlocked. So if you have hiding spots disabled, you will not be able to use that spot at all. Now let's go to the laundry room over here, and you do have a relatively okay spot here. There are times where the ghost will naturally walk in here, but it's not that often that it happens. And overall, you're relatively safe in there. And there are a few aspects to making this spot a little bit better, and that's because there is a solid collider right there, and therefore the ghost will not see through that at all. And the only way that it'll go in here is if it decides to set a waypoint in here, which happens sometimes. And it is unfortunate, but that's how it is programmed. There's another official hiding spot at this shed over here, so you can come in through this side of the map as well, and you can hide in the little shed there. Works just like a closet. You just close the door in on yourself and you'll be pretty safe in there. Just make sure your electronics are off and all will be good. And then we will go into the back area, and you may notice that there is a black star right in that hiding spot, and that is for a very good reason. Do yourself a favor and never hide there. And that is because there is a fence right here that has a bunch of holes in it, and there is no collider in it. You can test it with a motion sensor, and the ghost will see right through that hiding spot, and it will absolutely end you. And therefore, that hiding spot is effectively completely useless. You may as well not have that hiding spot exist in the first place. If there was a collider at that fence there, this hiding spot would actually be much better, and the ghost will very unlikely path in there. And because there is no collider at the fence, the ghost can sometimes see through the fence there, and it will enter your hiding spot, and it will not leave you alone, and you will have to burn smudges, and that is a bad thing. So overall, do not hide here when it's unlocked. Next, we will go upstairs, and we do have a couple of official hiding spots. Now, I say there's a couple because there's really only 3, and we'll get into that right now. So right here, you have 2 wardrobes, and they act like closets. There are 2 wardrobes in the master bedroom, but they're technically 1 hiding spot, and you can test that with the monkey paw by wishing to be safe with hiding spots disabled, and both of these wardrobes will unlock at once. Which is kind of weird because you have maps like Edgefield where 1 hiding spot is blocked off, but you have another one right beside it that is completely free, and you can just hide in there no problem. So a bit of a strange decision, but whatever, that's okay. And then we go down this hallway over here, and we do have another 2 stars, but they're really just 1 official hiding spot. And that's because when this is blocked off, this is just 1 big couch over here, and you can't really use that spot at all. But we'll get into each of these 2 spots here. Now, right here, you have a chair that you can hide behind, and it is quite good. The ghost is very unlikely to path back here, so you should be relatively safe here. But there's also another spot right here that you can use and hide behind the table there, and it is a little bit more sketchy to hide there. However, you do get the benefit of getting a visual on the ghost. So you can get some information from the hunt that way, and you can see if it's an Oni or an Obake or if it's just a normal blinker. But yeah, you can use that spot if you want to. And then we will get into the office over here, and then we do have another one of these closet spots there. And it works just like the one downstairs in the foyer there. So you can just close the door right here, hide in here, and you'll be pretty safe in there. And then we get into the attic, and we do have 2 official hiding spots in here, and they are pretty decent. You do have a hiding spot right in here between the little shelves over here. And the ghost is very unlikely to go in here, and even if it does, it would have to go right into your hiding spot in order to see you, which the odds of that happening very low. But there is something else with that spot in particular, and that's when it's blocked off. And if you have a ghost in this room over here, sometimes what happens is the ghost will spawn in here, and it will never escape there. And that is unintended, probably will get patched sometime in the next couple years, but it is there. You might be able to take advantage of it. And then you go into the attic bedroom over here, and you do have a wardrobe that you can hide in. You just close the door in on yourself, and you'll be pretty safe. And overall, the hiding situation with hiding spots enabled is pretty good. There are not many complaints other than the one in the garden path, but that's probably unintentional, may get fixed within a couple years. Now we will get into the unofficial hiding spots and the looping areas, and we do have some stuff to talk about. But first, let's go in through this section over here. We will be going through the house like this, and then upstairs and into the attic. So let's get started with the side path. There are some interesting areas that you can use, and let's start off with this one right here. Now, this one, you can just poke the tier 3 video camera through the wall, kind of like this, and you can get a visual of the ghost, some ghost orbs, and if you're lucky or observant, you can find the bone. And it doesn't have to be with this wall in particular. You can do it all along here, you can do it along the outside, but you won't be able to do the ghost blinks if you're in single player. It'd have to be a multiplayer thing. You can also do it through right here. And you can also use this method in some interior walls, but it can be a little more finicky. And this is also an unintended feature, so use it while it's still in the game. But yeah, you can get a lot of useful information just by poking a tier 3 video camera through the wall. You do have a safe spot right here, and all you do is climb up on the logs right here, and you just stand right here, have electronics on or not, doesn't matter. What the ghost is going to do is it's going to try to get you from this side, and it will not because there is a full-on wall in the way. Even if the ghost gets line of sight of you from right here, it'll go all the way through here and try to get you through there, and it just will never happen. And you can also use the tier 3 video camera to get some decent information from that, but also at the same time, you won't be able to get media off of that because of that wall there, and it just simply won't detect the ghost or bone or whatever. You might be able to get a sound recording off of it, but that's the most that you can get. And then there's also this spot over here, which you can use, but I don't recommend using it if you have sprint disabled, and that's because it does have the potential to get you stuck, and you'll run into a bunch of other problems, and you'll have to leave through the journal. If you were to use this spot, I recommend just going in partially and not all the way, but even still, I'd recommend using this one, which does not get you stuck, although it is a little bit of a further walk to get there. Then we'll get to the garden area, and we do have one area that we can hide in, and that's behind this door here. You can squeeze the door in on yourself just a little bit, not enough to squeeze you out here, but you can use that to hide behind the door, and the ghost will not detect you through the door. It may walk through it sometimes, and there's nothing you can do about that, but you can use that to your advantage if you want. The ghost can also see you if it passes over here, if it chooses to. But I'd only use that if you're in a lot of danger and you don't have any other options. There's also a kind of looping area right here, but it's not very good, very tight, and there are some bushes that you can get stuck on, which doesn't really make sense. And then we'll go into the little back porch area, and we do have a couple of spots that you can use. There is a chair right here that you can hide behind, and the ghost will not see you. Just don't go all the way to this corner here because you may get the ghost to get line of sight of you, and then you'll have to cleanse the ghost. There is also another hiding spot by the bench here, and this one is pretty good, but right here in this area, the ghost will get line of sight of you, and you'll have to cleanse the ghost. And sometimes it does path in that direction anyways. You do also have a looping spot right here that you can use, but it will get line of sight of you over time. You'll have to cleanse the ghost at some point. Then we'll get into the living area over here, and we do have a few spots that we can use. And we'll start off with a piano over here. We do have a nice little shimmy spot that you can use, and all you do is just go back and forth right here, and the ghost will change paths constantly. And you can get a lot of information that way, but it is a little risky to use if you have a crawler like Patient 7 or the Child. And then you also have a little shelf over here that you can use. And what you do is you close the bottom door in on yourself to about 45 degrees, and the ghost will only see you if it gets too close right here or if it is in this area right here. But the living room is a large area, so it's unlikely that it'll go there. It's a pretty cheeky hiding spot that you can use to even get a visual on the ghost, which is pretty good. And then over here, you have something similar, but you open the shelf door all the way, the bottom one, and then you hide right about here. And that way you can get a good visual of the ghost going through here, or even through the tea room over here. But the problem with that spot is if the ghost goes this way or back and forth, then it will see you and it will get you. So I'd only use that if you know the ghost's pathing. And then right here we do have the fireplace that you can use in a similar way, but it is a little sketchier at times because you do have the ghost pathing this way a little more often. And therefore, I'd only use it if you know what you're doing, or if you're trying to get a better visual of the ghost. And then, of course, you do have a couple of looping spots that you can use in here, but you will be speeding up the ghost by doing that, and you will have to cleanse at some point. Then we'll go into the dining area over here, and again, we have another looping area that will speed up the ghost over time because it doesn't block line of sight. But over here and over here, you do have a couple LOS blockers, but they're not the best. And you do have these angles over here that will only block a certain amount of line of sight. So if you're hiding right here, then if the ghost goes in this area, then it will see you. And then if you're hiding on this side, then it will go to that side and it will see you. So not the best area for hiding, but it can be used if you need it. And then over towards the kitchen, you do have some better hiding areas. You do have the little wall over here that you can hide behind and loop around even. And it is overall pretty decent. And I'd feel pretty comfortable hiding behind here, but sometimes the ghost will path into the kitchen and you may have to move or cleanse the ghost. But there's also some other spots in the kitchen that you can use, and that is in regards to the kitchen cabinets. Now, the cabinets you open all the way, and you hide right here, and the doorways are right here, and somehow the ghost will never see you. And that hiding spot in general is real interesting, because you can get a pretty good visual if the ghost is pathing in the dining room often, but it's not the safest because obviously, if the ghost goes into the kitchen here, it will get line of sight of you, and you'll have to cleanse the ghost. But it can be useful if you need a quick hiding spot, or if you are trying to wait for a ghost event, and you need somewhere to hide quickly. Then we'll go into the bathroom over here, and there are a couple of hiding spots over here. You do have this little shelf that you can hide behind, and it's relatively safe. it would have to go into this area to see you. And then you also have a cabinet right here. You just angle it to about 45 degrees with this door open, and you can get some information on the ghost pathing this way. So if it's Oni, you can potentially see the blinks. And then, yeah, you can also test these different ghosts in whatever way you feel comfortable with, all from this hiding spot here. And it's pretty useful in some situations. But it is not that safe because sometimes the ghost will path in here and it will just get line of sight of you and it will get you. Next, we will go into the laundry room over here, and you do have a couple of spots that you can use. First of which you can use is behind this little cabinet over here in the corner, and it works just like the one in the kitchen over here. And you can get some pretty decent information from the ghost just walking through this way, or through this way, or even through here. And overall, it's a pretty decent area to get information from the ghost, but if it passes through this way, then you'll have some issues because it will get line of sight of you and it will get you. Then you have this hiding spot over here, which there are a couple of things you need to know about it. Now, first of all, you need to hide right in this spot here and not right here. And that's because right here, there is a little container that is see-through. And you can throw motion sensors through it, you can place fire lights or whatever through it, and there's no collision, and the ghost will see you when it's coming through here, which is not very good. So it's better to hide right here, and if you're right there, then it is an okay spot to hide. It's not the best, but it's there. Sometimes the ghost will path over to this section over here, and it will see you. So I'd only hide there if you are kind of in need of a hiding spot. And then in the tea room, you do have a couple of options available. And right here, you do have another one of those shelves here that you can use. And what you do is you close the door in on yourself 45 degrees right there. And the ghost will just path straight through the tea room here and up the stairs. And overall, it's a pretty decent spot, but sometimes the ghost will path over here and then it will see you. Kind of just like this spot over here, but this one's a little bit safer, and that's because sometimes the ghost will go over here and it will see you over top of this, whereas if the ghost goes over here, it will not see you over top of the back of the couch here. And then speaking of the couches here, you do have a bunch of looping areas here that you can use, and they are relatively okay, but you'll be speeding up the ghost over time. And now let's go up the stairs to the second floor, and the closest spot that you can hide in is right about here. You can hide behind the cases there temporarily, and you can move with the ghost if you want, but it's not the safest area to hide in. Just like with these spots over here, we'll get to those in a sec, but you do have some looping spots here that you can use, and then a somewhat awkward one over here, but very usable. And now let's get into this spot over here. It's another one of those shelves here, and then you just angle the door in on yourself 45 degrees, just like with the other shelves, and you can get some pretty decent visuals of the ghost as well, especially if it's going into the master bedroom here. Overall, it's a pretty solid spot. This spot is very similar. It's another one of those shelves that you close the door in on yourself 45 degrees, but you don't really get the same benefits as this one. And then of course, if the ghost is pathing through here, this one is more dangerous than this one. But the options are there if you want. Next, let's go into the master bedroom over here, and we do have some options. You do have a couple of quality hiding spots. There's a chair right here that has a collider that goes down a pretty good ways, and I think it goes to like right there. You can squeeze yourself right there, and the ghost will not see you until it gets in this little area over here, which that's not bad. It's a pretty decent area. It's fairly unlikely that the ghost will go this far into the room anyways. So overall, I'm pretty happy with that spot. But right here is not as good because the ghost can actually see you when it's going into the bathroom here, and it will make its way over here and then it will get you. So I really would not hide there. Like, you have this spot right next to it, you may as well just hide there. And then you do have a couple of looping spots that you can use. You can even stand right here and get a visual of the ghost through the door. The ghost will not see you through this bed here, as it's a big collider. And then right here, you do have another looping spot that you can use, and it is overall okay, but it is a little bit tighter when it comes to looping. And then right here, you do have a little divider right here that you can hide behind, and this one's pretty good. The ghost will have to go into this area here in order to see you, and the odds of that happening are pretty low. So overall, that spot is pretty good if you want to hide in the master bedroom. Then we get into the bathroom here, and there are another couple of spots that you can use. This one over here is not great. You only want to hide there if you want to get a visual of the ghost, but even still, there are better places to get a visual of the ghost, so I would not hide there. The ghost would have to go into that area in order to see you, and the odds of that happening are relatively high. This area, it's a little bit better for hiding, but it's still not the safest because the ghost will have to go into this section of the bathroom in order to see you, and it does happen sometimes. But it is there if you need it. And then lastly, we do have the one in the walk-in closet here. It's not very good, but you just hide right here, and the ghost will not see you unless it goes into the walk-in closet itself. Really, there could be better hiding in the walk-in closet, but anyways, you do have lots of options in the surrounding areas that you could potentially use. I would only be in this room here if the ghost room is in the walk-in closet and you're trying to test for like Onryo or something. And then we get into the last couple of rooms on the second floor here, and we do have another couple of spots that we can use. There is a spot right at this chair here that you can use it as a peeking spot, and it's a pretty decent one as well because most of the time the ghost is pathing either into the master bedroom or through here or to the attic up here. And you will get some pretty decent visuals of the ghost. You might be able to catch a shapeshift or two, or maybe a Oni blink. And overall, this spot can be used as a pretty good peeping spot, but it's not the safest because sometimes the ghost will actually path in here, and then it will obviously see you, and you'll be in danger. But then also you do have a couple of looping areas that you can use. These chairs can be used as a looping area, which they're not great, and then also the desks there, it definitely could be a lot better. If we could maybe have the chair moved back a little bit there, you might be able to go through this area over here and then use it as a proper looping spot, and that would be a lot better. We do have to go around the chair, unfortunately, just to loop around this desk here. You can hide behind the chair here, and it would take the ghost going into this little section back here to see you, which it sometimes happens, but the hiding spot is there if you want it. And then you also have the back wall over here, which kind of blocks this little section right here. So the ghost will be able to see you once it gets to this half of the room. You do have some situational hiding spots that you can use. And then we get into the master bathroom here, and you do have a pretty decent looping area right by the bathtub here. The shower curtains goes all the way up, and you can even get a good visual on the ghost while you're looping it, and get a lot of information that way. But you can also hide behind the bathtub here, and it'll be pretty unlikely that the ghost will go all the way to the back here. The only way that would really happen is if the ghost room is directly underneath, which would be the laundry room, and it sets a waypoint directly above it, which it does happen occasionally. But you can hide here, and it'll be a pretty effective hiding area. And even if it does path back here, you can also just loop around. And now we will get into the attic, which is a pretty sketchy area. We have a couple of looping spots, which is an improvement from the old Bleasdale, but you don't really have any hiding areas in this attic. So if you're playing on higher difficulties, this is not a good place to hide at all. And there's also another issue where this room right here, you are unable to get a ghost event at all unless you force it with cards. And that's because this map is a medium map. There is no door linked to this room here at all, and therefore you will never get a ghost event, which is not good at all. But if you were to hide in the attic here, you do have two options. You can hide right here. There is a pretty decent collider right there, and the ghost will have to path over here to see you or all the way in here. And sometimes it will happen, but it's relatively unlikely. And then you also have this area behind the table, but this area right here is a little sketchy at times because sometimes the ghost will path right here, and then it will see you through the legs of the table, and then it'll beeline it straight to your hiding spot, which is not very good. And then there's also this spot over here, but I find whenever the ghost enters in here, it'll just get line of sight of me through the table legs anyways. So not very useful in that case. But yeah, overall, the attic is not really a great place to hide in. Like, they could have just removed a box over here and you would have a hiding spot available right here, and no one would have been complaining at all. And it wouldn't even be that great of a hiding spot either, because, I mean, you do have this section right here that the ghost can just path in here and then just see you. But yeah, even if we had one hiding spot available in this attic hallway here, then that'd be great, because, yeah, we do have these looping spots here, but there is a coin flip on which way the ghost is going to go. And sometimes the ghost will go this way, sometimes the ghost will go that way, and you really don't have any good options of hiding in there. Now, yes, there is a mannequin right here that can be teleported if the ghost room is in that attic hallway, but from my experience, the mannequin gets teleported in a spot where it doesn't benefit you in any way, so you can't really hide behind the mannequin anyways. That's all for the overview of this map. And overall, the new Bleasdale, I mean, it's not the worst map for hiding. That title goes to Point Hope, but unfortunately there are some problems with it, and I will show you those more in detail in game right now. Alright, here we are on Bleasdale, and we do have some hiding spots that we need to discuss. Look, a bone right in our hiding spot. Let's go. But first, we have this one right here at the entrance. You just go in here, close the door, works like any other closet hiding spot. The ghost will not path in here naturally. I've even tried a music box and cards and ghost events. They will not go in here naturally. The only way it will enter this hiding spot is if you have your equipment on, or if it sees you go in there. But that's not the only thing that you can use this hiding spot for. You can open this door like this, and you can get a slight visual on the ghost. You can even climb up on here a little bit, and you can get an even better visual if you just remove the bowl here. However, it is not the safest. In fact, this can be an area where the ghost paths, so you have to be a little careful with that. And it's only available with this official hiding spot. And once you disable hiding spots, this will be locked. You cannot open this door. Next, let's go into the laundry room area over here, and we do have another one. It is right in here behind these boxes, and you can just hide behind here. You'll be relatively safe, just as long as this is not the ghost room or the ghost doesn't path in here randomly. Sometimes it does, but you just have to keep an eye out on the ghost pathing. Bring a smudge just in case. And another thing with this spot, and we'll get into that in a sec, notice how I'm throwing my motion sensor at the shelf here, and it's not going through. You can kind of throw it here, and it will get cut off a little bit. Even here, the motion sensor will kind of hit an invisible wall, and you can even use this to your advantage and peek through this little hole here and even get a visual of the ghost. Just be careful of the ghost pathing, as always. Our next room of interest is through this hallway over here. We go to the side path over here, and you can even come in through this little gate here. This is another entrance, but you can hide right behind this door here inside this little shed here, and the ghost will not path in here unless you have your electronics on. This works just like any closet or any locker, so you're relatively safe in there. And then the next official hiding spot on this floor, and this one, yeah, it's probably the worst official hiding spot in the game currently. And it's behind this little fence here. And why I say that is because notice my motion sensor placement. It kind of gets a little cut off here. There's kind of holes in this little fence here, and effectively the ghost can see right through this. And you're better off having this hiding spot disabled because it is completely useless. And at best, it's inconsistent. Because I have had some situations where the ghost did not see me through here, but it's a coin flip whether it actually sees you through the fence here or not. The only solution that they could implement is they add like a little collider, just like the shelf there, but that is not the case. This hiding spot, do not hide here by any means. The next official hiding spots are upstairs. You can go into the master bedroom, and these little wardrobes here, you can hide in each of them here. And these act like your closets, your lockers, so you can just hold on to this and be relatively safe in here. Just note, these two wardrobes here count as one hiding spot. And I can prove that with the monkey paw, where when both of these are locked, you wish to be safe, both of these unlock all at once. So they're technically the same hiding spot, which is interesting. The next official hiding spot is right over here. We'll turn on this light over here, and it's behind this little chair here. And this is kind of like the chair on Grafton, the old Grafton. And you just hide behind here and you'll be fairly safe. It's unlikely that the ghost will path behind here, but I'd feel pretty safe behind here anyways. If this is locked, this will just be one big couch, but right here, you do have a little table that you can use, and you can get a little bit of a visual on the ghost as well. So you can use that to your advantage. However, you do lose a little bit of safety by using this hiding spot here. And then the last one on this floor is in this office here, and you just open this door here. The door is still bugged after all these months of this map being released, but you just close the door and it'll be just like any other closet hiding spot, just like the one downstairs. You can even hold the door closed and you'll be relatively safe. And the only way that the ghost will detect you in there is if you have your electronics on. And the next hiding spot is in the attic. So we just go up here, and there's another hiding spot in here. You just hide behind this little shelf here and you'll be pretty safe. It takes a lot for the ghost to actually see you in this hiding spot. I think the ghost will have to get to about here in order to actually see you, which the odds of that happening are pretty low. Now, another thing with this hiding spot here is, and it's only when it's blocked, is sometimes the ghost can spawn in here if this is the ghost room. You might be able to get a good visual on the ghost if you do have a ghost that is stuck up here, but use that to your advantage if you want. And then lastly, there is one official hiding spot in this bedroom here. It's another wardrobe. You just close the doors in on yourself and you'll be pretty safe. All right, here we are on the reworked Bleasdale. We're gonna take a look at the unofficial hiding spots. We're gonna start on the outside and work our way in. Now, you may notice I have a tier 3 video camera on me, and that's for a good reason. Now, you can use this video camera to look inside the house here, and you can potentially get a visual of the bone, but most importantly, you can get a visual of the ghost. And if we go over here, we do have a visual of some ghost orbs. Now, unfortunately, you are unable to record through a wall, so you won't be able to get any media from that, but you are able to get some intel on potentially where the ghost is and some evidence. And yes, this is recorded post-chronicle, so we do have the reworked media as well. Now, we are going to enter through here, and we can also peek through this side here. This is mainly helpful if you're playing in single player, but if you're playing on multiplayer, you are able to peek through the wall at the front there. But single player, you can still peek through here and other parts of the house. Also, If you wanted to hide in this area, it is a bit of a walk to get to some decent hiding areas. We do have one safe spot right here. You just climb up this pile of logs here, and you can also get a visual of the ghost as well. And the ghost will never kill you here. Even if it gets line of sight of you, it will path into the laundry room and try to get you from the inside. And that simply will not happen. Another hiding spot that you could potentially use is right here, but just be advised that this is potentially a sketchy area as you may get stuck sometimes. It may take a little bit of effort to get out, and it may require some sprint. Am I actually stuck? Okay, there we go. Yeah, so use the spot at your own risk. You may get stuck here. If you're playing on difficulty without sprint, you may be actually permanently stuck. So maybe try not to use this one if you can avoid it, or maybe don't jam yourself directly into this corner. A spot that will not get you stuck is actually behind this little shed here. You can hide right here and you'll be somewhat safe as long as the ghost is not pathing out here. And if the ghost is in the bathroom here or in the laundry room, sometimes even in this room, especially out here, then you may have some issues with this hiding spot, especially if you're playing on higher difficulties, which that's another thing that we will get into later. But first of all, yeah, it is a bit of a walk to get to this spot. It takes about 11 or so seconds to get to the shed if you're playing on 50% player speed with no sprint. So that would be your Apocalypse 3 situation. Next hiding spot I want to take a look at is in here, and you may be wondering where exactly. And you can actually hide behind here somewhat, and the ghost will not detect you through this door here. And you can use this if you're in a dodgy situation, or you're just trying to quickly hide and not be seen. But just keep in mind that the ghost can sometimes interact with the door here, and it will get line of sight of you, and it will obviously see you. This tree is not recommended for looping. You do get stuck on these bushes here, which it makes no sense. But this is a game made by Kinetic Games, so nothing ever makes sense. But unfortunately, these are kind of your only options in the garden here, which it's not great. If only there was maybe like a couple of other bushes, maybe a rock that we can maybe hide behind, that would be great. But it is what it is. You can also go in here, and there are a couple options for hiding. You can hide behind the chair here, and you'll be relatively safe. Just keep in mind that the ghost can walk through the rocking chair, and it will get you. But at least you can see it coming. Another hiding spot is behind this little bench here. It is pretty solid, so you can just hide behind here no problem. And it also goes relatively high as well, the collider, so you can even get a slight visual on the ghost as well. You can also kind of look inside the house with your video camera and get a visual on the ghost as well. I also want to talk about this little area here. You can loop around here, but just be aware that the ghost will speed up over time, and you will have to smudge at some point. I would not recommend this area for hiding because the chair is not solid. Notice my motion sensor I can kind of place through the chair and onto the table. So it's not a great place to hide. Next, we will go into the living room area, and we do have actually quite a bit of options available. Now let's get the obvious one out of the way, and that's the piano here. You can use this as a shimmy spot. It is a little sketchy if you have a ghost that is crawling, or if you have the child ghost model, then I would not recommend shimmying here unless you absolutely know what you're doing. Even if you have a phantom, it can also be a little sketchy. But from my experience, if you just go back and forth like right here, it will force the ghost to change paths. So if you're right here, the ghost will try to go over here. If you're over here, the ghost will go this way, and so on. And then another spot that I want to take a look at, and it's actually right beside the piano here, and it's this little shelf right here. You might be wondering, what can you possibly do with this shelf here that is actually useful? And all you have to do is open this little cabinet here, and then close this in on yourself to about 45 degrees, just before you get pushed out. And this will block line of sight. And not only that, you can also get a good visual on the ghost. But just keep in mind that the ghost can path over here and it will see you and it will get you. But that's only if the ghost is pathing in this little area here, which in that case, just bring a smudge. And the next place to hide in this living room area here is actually behind this little shelf here. And all you have to do is open this door all the way and then position your character kind of like this. Now, it is very important that you position your character correctly, because if you gain extra height by climbing onto this shelf here, the ghost coming from the kitchen area will actually see you. So it's very important that you are as low as possible so the ghost will not be able to see you over top of this door here. And also, if the ghost is coming from behind here, do not bother hiding here. The ghost will see you. And it doesn't even matter if you hide here, the ghost will detect you through here. And this corner right here, it's not very good either, because ghosts going up and down the stairs will actually get line of sight of you right about here. This spot right here is not worth it. You might be able to get away with this one here if the ghost is going through the kitchen here, but you will not get a visual. And of course, if the ghost is coming from the garden area, then you're going to have bigger issues. If you want to use this corner here, I'd recommend this door here. Now, obviously, if the ghost gets too close, then you're going to run into some problems. You'll have to burn a smudge in order to get to the piano here, and then you have to shimmy it. And then another option for hiding, and this one's not as good, is this little fireplace here. You can open the door in, and you can just get a peek of the ghost coming from the kitchen area to the lobby area, and you can get some information that way. But if the ghost is going this way, then you will have to cleanse the ghost and get out of trouble. And then some other peeping spots that you could potentially use is this little couch here. It's only good if the ghost is pathing from the tea room all the way upstairs. If the ghost is coming down this way, then it's not worth it at all. And you can also use this area to loop the ghost as well. Next, we will go into the kitchen dining area, and we do have a couple of options available. And right here, this little table here, you can use this as a looping spot, but the ghost will get LOS on you, and it will speed up over time. But if you wanted to hide, you can do it either right here or on this side here. They're not the best hiding spots, but you can use them if the ghost isn't pathing over here, or if you just want to get out of trouble, or if you're trying to use this as like an outpost, then you could potentially do that. Another area that you can hide in is this little kitchen area, and you can use this little wall here to block line of sight and loop around it, and the ghost will not speed up unless it is just going down the little corridor here. But you can also use this as a little hiding area. It's not the highest quality area for hiding, but you can use it. But also, that's not the only hiding spot in the kitchen. How is there another hiding spot in the kitchen when there's just this little center area? And then just like with the little cabinets out there, you can use these little kitchen cabinets to block line of sight. Ghost will not see you as long as the ghost is not pathing into the kitchen. So if the ghost is going through the dining area, then ghost will not see you. And you can even get a slight visual on the ghost as well. So it can be pretty useful at times. You can also do the same thing on the other side here if you want to get a little closer to one of the other rooms. Next area that we'll take a look at is in this bathroom over here. And we do have some dirty water here. We'll just turn that off. And we do have a couple of options in here. You can use this little cabinet here to block line of sight. Ghost will not see you unless it goes into the room here. And then an even better hiding spot is right here, but you will not get a visual of the ghost, unlike right here. But this one here, it's a little bit more dangerous. You'll have to have a smudge on you in order to get a safe visual on the ghost. Right, next area to hide in is actually in this laundry room here. And you do have a couple of options available. And first of which is behind these little shelves here. Now, if you're going to be hiding here, I'd recommend doing so right here. And the reason is because of this little container right here. This container has a problem, and that problem is very simple. Watch what happens when I'm placing my motion sensor. I can place right through it. And not only that, I can throw stuff right through it. So this may as well not even exist. Same thing with right here. The items just go right through, and hello, buddy. The motion sensor goes right through, and unfortunately, it will not block line of sight, and you'll be in a lot of danger because of this transparent container. So if you were to hide behind the shelf here, do so right here. And right here, it's not a good spot because it is very easy for the ghost to get line of sight of you. And same thing with right here because of this container here. But there are more options here in this little laundry room here. Now, I'm going to turn on a light here just so we can get an idea. But what you do is you open this little cabinet right here, and then you just jam yourself right here. And you now have a decent visual of the ghost coming from the little side path here into the tea room. And the ghost will have no idea that you are watching it. You can use that to your advantage to get a potential Obake shapeshift or an Oni blink. But just keep in mind, if the ghost paths this way, then you are going to be in some danger. All right, next we will take a look at the tea room over here, and we do have a couple of options for hiding. You can also use this little cabinet over here, close this in on yourself at 45 degrees. You can also set a little waypoint for yourself by lining up this little corner right here with one of the lines on the carpet, and that will kind of get you an idea. Ghost will not see you as long as the ghost is pathing from the laundry room all the way to the staircase there. If for whatever reason the ghost goes over here, he will see you. And then same thing with this spot over here. You can use this to block line of sight, and you might be able to get a good visual depending on the ghost model. So if it's like a tall lady or a butcher or a naked man, then you can get a good visual on the ghost. But if it ends up being a crawling ghost, then you will not be able to see the ghost at all. You can also loop around these chairs here. They're not the best looping spots. You can block line of sight here, but once you get over here, then it will be speeding up. You can also use this area to loop, but it's a little tight for looping. And then another thing with these chairs here is you can use these as a temporary hiding spot. I don't really recommend these chairs for hiding because of how the ghost is pathing. They typically path through the rooms here, and it will see you. So I wouldn't really recommend those chairs for hiding, but the option is there if you want. Now, another thing we're gonna talk about with that room in particular is if you are coming in through here and you have hiding spots turned off, this chair is your closest hiding spot, which is not great. It takes about 9 or so seconds if you're playing on Apocalypse 3 to get from the front door to the chair safely, which can be a little sketchy at times given that this area is wide open. The ghost can also spawn in the hallway upstairs and get a visual on you. So early game, Bleasdale is actually kind of a sketchy map. And even if you are trying to go between floors, it also is quite sketchy. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is going up the stairs. Now, if you're playing with normal player speed with sprinting, then this isn't really a huge issue. However, if you're playing on slower player speeds, then this is going to become a problem. And that's because it takes a long time to get to the nearest hiding spot upstairs, and that can be pretty dangerous if you're in an apocalypse situation. You're doing 15x on Bleasdale, and you're trying to figure out the ghost up here. Or you're doing some kind of challenge where you are trying to get the ghost with low player speed. Now, watch how long it takes for me to get from the bottom of the stairs into the trophy room, which is where our first hiding spot is. Now, keep in mind, I have 150% player speed. and it is taking me a short amount of time to get up here, but to get into this room here, into a hiding area safely, if you were 50% speed, no sprinting, it will take you between 27 and 30 seconds. That is a problem, because if you are against a really aggressive ghost that likes to hunt a lot, let's say you're against a demon, then it will see you in the hallway and you have to burn all of your smudges. But if you have normal player speed, then it's not as bad, but it's not that great either. But speaking of hiding, if the ghost is downstairs, you can get a visual, but just keep in mind the ghost likes to path up and down the stairs, so you will have to hide at some point. And the first area of hiding is in the trophy room here. And we do have some options available. Now, this area you can use as a looping spot. You can also hide behind here, and the ghost will not be able to see you. But that's not the only option. You can also use this cabinet right here, and then angle the door to about 45 degrees, and line up this corner of the door with this line here. That's about your 45-degree angle. The ghost will not see you as long as it's pathing this way. If the ghost is going into the trophy room, then you'll have an issue. But this spot here, you can use the spot and get a good visual on the ghost here. And if the ghost is pathing into the master bedroom, or going into the attic or the bathroom, and going back and forth, then you can get some pretty decent information as well. The same can be said for this hiding spot over here. Granted, it is not as useful, but the option is there if you need it. You can also loop around this area here, and the ghost will not get line of sight of you. It is a little bit awkward to loop around at times, but you can do so. But just keep in mind, it's only really useful if you have a higher player speed, so 100 player speed with sprint, like on Professional, Nightmare, all that. But yes, you can use this as a looping spot. Ghost will not see you here. Next, we will go into the master bedroom here, and there are a couple of options for hiding, and these are some higher quality hiding spots, as I like to put them. Now, first off, let's look at this chair here, and you can actually hide behind here, and it will take a lot for the ghost to see you, actually. Notice how whenever I throw my motion sensor at this chair here, it abruptly stops, and that's because this is effectively one big cube in this area, minus this area, and the ghost will have to go like right here in order to get line of sight of you, which is pretty unlikely. So that could be a good option for hiding. Now, you can also hide behind this table here beside the telescope. However, this is not as good of a hiding spot, and the ghost will actually see you if it's going into the bathroom there, or if it's coming out of the bathroom, and of course it'll get line of sight of you and you'll have a lot of problems. But another good area that you can use is actually this bed right here. And it's quite simple, actually. This is effectively one big collider. And let's say that door is open, you're standing right here, ghost will not see you. And you can use that to your advantage. You can also use this area as a looping spot, but you'll have to use at least 100% player speed, or you'll have to use sprinting as well. This does require some speed in order to actually use this effectively. You can also use this area as a looping spot. It's not as big of a looping spot, and it can be a little sketchy at times depending on what the ghost is doing. Another hiding area in this master bedroom here is this little divider here. You could just wedge yourself in here and the ghost will not be able to see you. It'll have to go into this area in order to get line of sight of you. So this is actually a pretty decent area if you want to hide here, that is. Next hiding area is in the ensuite bathroom here, and you do have a couple options. You can hide behind right here, and it will have to go over here in order to see you, which is relatively unlikely, but it can happen. You can also hide behind here, but it's not as safe as that corner there. I would only hide here if you're trying to get a visual of the ghost. But even still, there are better options for getting a visual. And then lastly in this area is the walk-in closet. You can hide right about here. It's not that good of a hiding spot, but that's kind of your only option if you're hiding in here. If only we could open these doors here, then we might have some more options that we can work with. The next area to hide in on this floor is actually in the little office here, and we do have some spots available. First of which is right at this chair here. Now, just like with the chair in the master bedroom, that is solid. That comes to an abrupt end, and you can get a somewhat decent visual on the ghost coming up the stairs and into the attic or wherever. But if the ghost is pathing in here, then you'll be in some danger. You can also use this as a looping area, but it is a little bit sketchy, and I don't really recommend looping in this area. And the same goes for right here. Now, it looks like we can go through here, but we actually can't. If this chair is slightly back, then we might be able to go back and forth. So you'll have to go around here, and then the ghost will see you over top of it. But speaking of this chair here, you can also hide behind here, and the ghost will not see you over top of the chair. But if it passed back here, then you might have some issues. Same thing with this spot here. The ghost will have to go into this half of the room to see you, and if it does, then you'll have to cleanse the ghost to get out of here safely. Next area is in this bathroom here, and we do have a couple options, but one of them is a little bit better. There is this bathtub over here that you can loop around, get a good visual of the ghost, and it will not speed up with line of sight. You can also use this to peek outside the door if the ghost is pathing just at the entrance here, or maybe back to the trophy room there. You can also open up this cabinet here, and you might be able to get a slightly better visual, but it is not as safe to hide here. And then lastly, we have the attic, which is not a good area for hiding at all. First of all, it takes a little bit to get up the stairs. Hello, buddy. Now, I'm playing with 150% player speed, and it takes about 15 seconds to get to the nearest hiding spot. In other words, if you're playing on Apocalypse 3 with 50% player speed, it takes 45 seconds. But before we get there, there are some spots that you can use in here, but it's mainly looping spots, so you'll have to be faster in order to use them effectively. Because if you're playing on a slower player speed, and the ghost is in hunting range, then you can try to hide here, but it is a coin flip on whether the ghost is going to go this way or if the ghost is going to go this way. And you don't want to be in that situation. But you can loop around here, and the ghost will not see you over top, and it is a pretty decent looping area, although a little bit awkward at times. And then the same thing can be said over here. You can loop around here, and the ghost will not speed up with line of sight, depending on where it is. Now, another thing here is we have the old kind of mannequins in the attic. We only have one, but we do have one. And the thing with this mannequin is it can be teleported if the ghost is up here. However, the spots that I've seen so far isn't really useful. And if the ghost isn't in the attic anyways, then it's completely useless. Doesn't even matter. And that's basically all of the hiding in the attic hallway here. This is not a good room for hiding, but it is also the only room in the attic that allows you to get a ghost event. And that's because of that door there. And because this is a media map, ghost events only occur if there is a door linked to the room. That means this room over here, you will never get a ghost event. So, unfortunately, if you are dealing with a attic ghost and you're trying to hide in here, you're doing like a no sanity run, or you're trying to get a perfect game on Apocalypse, then this room, it's not going to happen for ghost events. You'll have to be out here, which is dangerous. And yeah, this area over here, I'm pretty sure 100% of the players will not complain if this little section is opened up, but I'm not the one who designed the map. And then this area kind of looks like a spot you can hide in, but yeah, we are unable to hide in here. And then we got the attic bedroom here, and we only have two options. The first option is right here. You can hide behind the little curtain here, and This spot is actually a little bit better than behind right here, and that's because if the ghost goes somewhere like right here, it will see your legs through the table, and it will get line of sight of you, and it will see you. And then this area over here, I haven't gotten this spot to work at all. The ghost has seen me every time, so I wouldn't really use this area. But right here, you can actually hide here somewhat effectively, and that's because of the collider right there. And it would take the ghost going over here in order to see you. So you can use that to your advantage if you want, but attic overall, it's not very good for hiding, like at all. Like I've even tried to make a hiding spot out of this, and the ghost sees me every time. Same with right here, and yeah, it's not great for hiding. So overall, I will say the new Bleasdale is worse than the old Bleasdale in terms of hiding, and that is because of the longer distances. It's now a medium map, and there are fewer quality hiding spots in general. Like in the old attic, we had quite a bit more hiding spots in there, and we can get some decent visuals. And even going up and down the stairs here, it's a lot better on the old map than it is on the new map here. So overall, it is a downgrade compared to old Bleasdale. But New Grafton, which is the next hiding guide, is a bit of a different story, and I will get to that next time. And that is all for the hiding guide on the reworked Bleasdale. Overall, this version of Bleasdale is aesthetically nicer, however the survivability is not as good as the old Bleasdale, especially if you're playing on higher difficulties. A major change from the old Bleasdale is that this is now a medium map, and therefore the hunt duration is increased significantly. On top of that, while the official hiding spots are mostly better than the old Bleasdale, the unofficial hiding spots fall short in certain scenarios, and you may have to burn incense to keep yourself alive. And then there's the attic area where there are barely any hiding spots at all, and you are unable to get a ghost event in the one room with hiding. As if that was not bad enough, if you are playing on a difficulty where the breaker starts off, or if it's broken, then the whole map will be pitch black, and therefore navigating around the map will be difficult without a decent light source. Anyways, that is enough for Bleasdale today. Next will be the reworked Grafton hiding guide, and I should have it uploaded sometime next week. But until then, see you next time.